In the world of high-stakes social influence, conflict isn't what you think it is. It's not some big dramatic showdown. It's more like a continuous silent audit that's happening right under your nose all the time. And this is an intelligence briefing on that invisible system. Just think about that for a second. The real battles for status, they're not fought over some grand territory, nope. They are won and lost in the small stuff, the tiny little transgressions, the little yields you make just to keep things smooth, to keep the peace. And this isn't some new modern thing. This is an ancient biological game, a kind of primal dance of hierarchy that plays out in boardrooms and break rooms every single day. So today, we are pulling back the curtain on something called rank testing. This is the subtle, often unconscious system people use to check your boundaries, to map your tolerance for disrespect, and ultimately to dismantle your own agency from the inside out. It's not about big arguments. It's about the slow, methodical erosion of your personal sovereignty, all through a process we call the Rank-Calibration Loop. All right, so to really get this and learn how to counter it, we're going to move through 6 critical phases. We'll start with the anatomy of the attack. Then we'll understand the psychological trap it sets, we'll map out the architecture of the power grab, explore the deep biological reasons it works so well, and finally, we'll get you equipped with the protocols to take back your authority. Okay, let's dive right in. When a person tests your rank, they're not looking for a fight. They are absolutely not trying to start an argument. They're after something much smaller and frankly far more valuable, a yield. They're probing the structural integrity of your self-identity. And every time you let one of those little things slide, you're handing them a data point, feeding information to their side of this rank calibration loop, basically telling them just how much of your status you're willing to trade for a little comfort. So every single time you let a small thing slide, an interruption you don't correct, a backhanded joke you just laugh off, someone showing up late and you just ignore it, you're not just being polite, you are actively participating in a process of structural erosion. See, these aren't just random acts of carelessness. They are micro-transgressions, precise little probes designed to test the strength of your boundaries. And to the primitive, status-aware parts of our brain, specifically the ventral striatum, every one of those unaddressed challenges signals weakness, and it calibrates your position downwards in that unspoken hierarchy.
And the ultimate goal here, it's to weaponize your own professionalism against you. It's brilliant in a way. They leverage your desire for harmony, your politeness, your identity as a team player, and they use it to extract these small concessions. They're essentially asking you to trade a piece of your personal sovereignty in exchange for their comfort and the illusion of group peace. They make conflict feel so metabolically expensive that your submission just becomes the path of least resistance.
Okay, let's shift to how this actually feels. We've all been there. That sudden wait in a meeting when someone interrupts you, not to ask a question, but to clarify something you just said perfectly clearly. Your heart rate spikes a little, you feel that immediate urge to just let them finish so you don't seem rude. You might even nod and say exactly, right? Just to keep things moving. That feeling? That's your executive sovereignty eroding in real time. It's a live demonstration of your submission baseline getting activated. Now, this is not you being the bigger person. Let's be very clear. This is a neurological state called induced devaluation. Your brain has just made a subconscious trade. It swapped your authority for the temporary feeling of group harmony. It's a classic example of the dominance prestige model in action. You're giving up ground in a dominance play while telling yourself it's a mature choice, when really, you're being managed by a preset threshold for disrespect, a submission baseline that a rank tester is actively trying to map and exploit. And this is the paradox that traps so many intelligent, capable people. Your attempt to seem above it all by ignoring these tests doesn't project strength at all. It actually reinforces the very weakness that causes others to look right past you for leadership. You're not winning some game of maturity. You're just handing over the remote control to your own nervous system because someone else made you feel a little uncomfortable. True prestige isn't gained by tolerating disrespect. It's shown by calmly, precisely disallowing it. All right, now we move from the experience to the actual mechanics. This system of dominance engineering isn't random. It's a seamless 4-stage loop that's designed to methodically turn an independent peer into a manageable asset. So let's break down the architecture. I want you to see every gear and lever in this machine. This right here, this is the blueprint, the precise 4-step process for how status is systematically seized. Let's deconstruct each one of these stages so we can find the leverage points. Because understanding this sequence, well, that's the key to dismantling it before it ever gains momentum. It all starts with the microprobe. The tester figures out what you value in social interactions, your politeness, your collaborative spirit. Then they introduce a small transgression, an anchor of disrespect. Maybe they show up late to your meeting on purpose, or they glance at their phone while you're talking. Now, this isn't just rude, it's a neurological mapping process. They're sending a signal directly to your brain's status radar, that ventral striatum, waiting to see if it even registers a blip. Your silence? That's their green light. It opens the gate.
And here's where the trap really starts to close. Once they've mapped your tolerance, they execute a temporal hijack. They withhold something they're socially expected to give back. They ask for a favor but never return one. They take partial credit for your idea. This triggers a powerful biological reaction in you, dopamine depletion and cortisol overload. To your brain, this profound unfairness feels like a direct threat, creating this agonizing tension and a desperate, biologically driven need to just get back to normal. This biological distress, it leads you right into stage 3, reactive compliance. Because your sense of safety is now tied to their approval, your brain tries to solve the cortisol problem by appeasing its source. You start to overperform. You do the office housework, you apologize for their mistakes just to keep the peace, you downplay your own successes to avoid their teasing. You're actively trying to earn back a sense of rank that is being systematically stolen from you, one small yield at a time.
And all of this brings us to the final stage, the structural anchor. At this point, the tester has become the default authority for the group's reality. They've established a kind of mental monopoly where you and even others don't even consider your own preferences anymore. You just look to them to define what the group is doing. The power balance has completely shifted from mutual respect to rank-based extraction. You've become the supporter, they've become the sovereign. The loop is now complete. So, why does this work so effectively? Why does this system manage to subordinate even highly intelligent, high-status people? The answer isn't some psychological weakness, it's all about biological efficiency. It comes down to the brutal metabolic math of the human brain. The core principle is this: our brains are hardwired to be metabolic misers. They are designed above all else to conserve energy. I mean, your brain uses about 20% of your body's calories just sitting there, and it will do almost anything to avoid unnecessary spending. And social conflict, any kind of confrontation, is incredibly expensive from a metabolic standpoint. It requires the prefrontal cortex to burn a massive amount of glucose to override the limbic system's basic desire for safety. And this leads to a powerful cognitive shortcut called the fluency of deference. Our brain has this pre-built logic. If someone acts like they outrank us, by interrupting, by making demands, by ignoring social rules, the most energy-efficient response is often just to yield. And rank testers exploit this biological shortcut. By pushing a boundary, they are artificially jacking up your cost of defense, while their cost of attack stays low, making submission the path of least resistance for your metabolically cheap brain. This is the moment control shifts. We use cognitive dissonance to reframe our biological impulse as a mature choice. We tell ourselves, it's not worth the fight, when the reality is we're being chemically managed by the high metabolic cost of that conflict. We say, I'm being the bigger person, when we're actually taking a neurological shortcut to a lower status position. This is how submission gets rebranded as cooperation. All right, so now we move from diagnosis to application. Understanding the system is the first step, but dismantling it requires a tactical shift. The goal here is to stop being polite, which is ambiguous, and start being precise, which is unmistakable. This is how you reclaim your cognitive sovereignty. The very first step is to intentionally introduce something called metacognitive friction. What this means is that every single time you feel that internal urge to let it go or keep the peace, you have to consciously create mental resistance. You have to interrupt your own brain's energy-saving autopilot before you can ever hope to interrupt theirs. You're manually overriding the fluency of deference. And this question is the tool you use to create that friction. It's an act of analytical calibration. It forces you to step outside of that immediate emotional discomfort and assess the situation from a position of real power. By asking this, you convert their ambiguous probe into a clear, binary correction. You are instantly raising the metabolic cost of their disrespect, forcing them to decide if the transgression is actually worth the energy. Okay, once you've calibrated internally, you have to act externally. The key to the Latency-Zero protocol is right there in the name, zero latency. You do not wait. You don't let them finish their point. You don't let the moment of transgression just pass by. See, latency, that's the window where the rank tester wins. The correction has to be instantaneous to be effective, to short-circuit their rank calibration loop before it completes. This is your script. It's not aggressive, it's not emotional, it is not rude, it is precise. By correcting the signal instantly with a calm, firm statement like this, you break the power of their probe. You're demonstrating that respect in your presence isn't some gift they bestow on you, it's a result of your own internal order. You're proving in real time that your status is simply non-negotiable. And finally, you have to build a sovereign baseline, especially against the tease or the backhanded compliment. You know the one? It's a probe wrapped in plausible deniability. When it happens, you maintain a neutral, unsmiling face. Don't reward the transgression with a laugh. Hold eye contact for just a moment longer than is comfortable. When they realize they can't buy your silence or compliance with humor, their narrative as the charming, funny leader just collapses, and the reality of their power dynamic is exposed for everyone to see.
And so we arrive at the conclusion of this briefing. The ultimate goal of understanding all these mechanics isn't to win every tiny battle. It's to anchor your own boundaries so firmly that they become an undisputed part of your reality, and therefore the reality of any room you happen to be in.
Let this one sink in. The objective is not to win a popularity contest. It's to be so sovereign, so self-contained, that your space and your authority are simply non-negotiable. Just being aware of these biological and social mechanics is the first and most critical step. Awareness itself begins to collapse the system of status erosion, because you can no longer be an unknowing participant. You can see the code running in the matrix. Stop apologizing for taking up space, for having an opinion, for holding the floor when it's your turn to speak. Your presence, your time, and your contributions have value. Apologizing for them sends a clear signal that they are negotiable. So anchor that boundary by simply acting as if your right to be there is already a settled fact. And remember this, power is not seized in one grand move. It's accumulated in the small moments. By owning the small rules, the rules of interruption, of respect, of time, you position yourself to own the big decisions. That is the architecture of sovereignty. That is the end of this briefing.